Welcome to MATV. I'm having Mr. Jon Ashworth with me, British Labour politician and the Member of Parliament for Leicester South. Welcome, Mr. John, to MATV.
Hello there. Thank you for having me.
Leicester, your Member of Parliament started quite back, and you have been in the politics, have been with Mr. Our Gordon Brown. And how you started your career as a politician? What oriented you towards the British politics?
Well, I've worked in politics for many years. Before I was an MP, I did work for the former Prime Minister, Gordon Brown. I did that for 7 or 8 years while he was the Chancellor of the Exchequer and while he was Prime Minister. I'm now the Member of Parliament for Leicester, where we have a tremendously diverse population, a huge members of the population from the Indian diaspora community, huge ties to India. And I think the diversity of Leicester is one of the great strengths of Leicester. But I got involved in politics because I want to make a difference. I think society should be fairer, more equal, and everyone should be given the best chance in life.
When we talk about the Indian community, recently our British Prime Minister is in India and trying to build up the ties in business and, of course, in education. Where do you think, how can we develop this business relations with India?
Well, I'm afraid to say, while I like what David Cameron has been saying in Delhi and Mumbai, the reality of what he's doing over here is very different because he's telling the border agency to put in place tougher visa restrictions, to put in place an immigration cap, which he's saying to international students, including Indian students, don't come here, at a time when the rest of the world, Australia, Canada, the US, are making it easier for Indian students to go to their country and are making it easier for Indian business to invest. So while it's fine David Cameron saying one thing in Delhi, he really needs to be changing his policies over here in London.
And since last 2 3 years, since the transformation from Labour to Conservative has been taken place, the point-based system in 2009 came regarding this immigration concepts, and the things has been screwed up. The students initially they were allowed with spouse. Now no spouse can come, only in higher institutions, and then the working restrictions, 20 hours work, and for colleges there's no work. This all kind of stuff has restricted students to come to United Kingdom for study. How can we improve this?
Well, I think we need to get a fairer system. I understand why we need to make sure that we root out abuse in the immigration system, but the current rules are far too strict. The number of Indian students coming to universities, like the two universities in Leicester, has dropped dramatically. That's bad for the economy in Leicester. It's bad for our ties with India. We've put in place stricter visa rules, such as the work rules. This isn't good for our economy. Look, there was a time when Britain educated the leaders of India. We educated Gandhi. We educated Nehru. Actually, we educated the leaders of other Asian countries. We educated Jinnah. But, nowadays, can we really say that the future leaders of South Asian countries will be educated in Britain? I don't think we will be able to say that. And I think that's bad for Britain's relationships with that part of the world over the next 20 years.
Coming to the graduate, recently a statement was given by Mr. Cameron that the graduate students can work here for how much long they want. But again, in last year, the post-study work visa, which was a 2 years of stay after the graduation, that has been curtailed. And on the other part, we are saying that we will allow graduates to work here. At the other time, we are working for the unemployment in our country itself. How can these two statements correlate?
Well, exactly. He's saying one thing in Mumbai, but his Home Secretary is telling the border agency here to do something else because he's got rid of the post-work visa rights. I think trade, business relationships, working closely with India is a good thing for the UK economy. We need more of it in the years ahead. It will boost jobs. It will boost prosperity in cities like Leicester. But David Cameron, he's got to change the policies. It's no good him just saying one thing when he's over there in India. He's got to come back here to London and change the policies so that businesses based in Leicester, companies based in Leicester can take greater advantage of the economic potential of our deep ties with India.
Now, India itself is an emerging market. It is coming in the top business activities, if we say. So, how can our businessmen be associated in India, and how can we welcome the Indian business to invest in United Kingdom? Because we are looking forward, and the recent statement says that same day visa for businessmen. And what business ties can be we come up with India?
Well, we've got to look at what we can do to make the visa system easier, and we'll look very carefully at what David Cameron is saying about the same-day visa changes. We've got to look about what we can do to support our exporters in this country. When I talk to business people across the country, across Leicester and the Midlands, they tell me it's still too difficult to get access to export credit, get access to the support that they need to export to countries such as India. And actually, there's lots we can be doing. In Leicester, we actually export Asian food to India. You know, that's an example of some of the great potential our small business people have in cities like Leicester, but we need to make sure they've got the financial support there and the help there to do it. We've also got to look at how UKTI can be improved. I get different stories from different business people about how effective it is. But, you know, the way the world is going, the way the global economy is changing, we will get left behind if we don't make some of these changes urgently now.
Recently, to your visits to the University of Leicester and a couple of other education institutes, the idea of a work club came. What actually is that, and how it's going to develop?
Well, parts of my constituency in Leicester, and I know many of your viewers will know Leicester very well, there's some areas of great deprivation in Leicester. But we're looking at how we can improve people's skills and how we can get people better ready for work. So for some people, that would be giving them IT and literacy skills. In some parts of the community, some of the recent arrivals do not yet have the English skills that is needed for them to enter fully into the jobs market. So we need to make sure that they're getting the ESOL training and they're getting all the support they need. So that's what these jobs clubs are about. They're making sure people have got the skills and training to actually get a job. But let's also be honest, the economy is very bad at the moment. A lot of businesses are suffering. There's got to be bigger changes in the economy before we can really begin to boost employment. But in the meantime, we've got to do what we can to help people.
Many of these programs are being funded by European Union, and now again, shall we stay in the EU or shall we keep away? What is your personal view?
I think it's in Britain's interest to stay within the European Union. When you look at some of these major global companies who want access to European markets, I think they would ask themselves, why on earth would they invest in the UK if we were not in the EU? I think they would go to Germany. I think they would go to France and countries like that. Look, I know that we need to look at how we reform the EU. I think some of the regulations and the rules associated with the EU are wrong, and I know we've got to look at that. But I think at the end of the day, it's in our economic interest to remain within the EU because it gives us access to markets there. And I suspect these countries around the world which are really powering ahead, India, Brazil, Russia, but also the next wave of countries which are growing now, Bangladesh, Pakistan, parts of Africa, I think they would want us to remain in the EU because they also would want to have that route into those European markets.
Now, your visit to India. Have you been to India before, first of all?
No, this is my first time to India. I'm going next week, and I can't wait because it's a country which I've heard so much about, being an MP in Leicester, and I've drank many cups of Indian tea as an MP in Leicester, but I've never been, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Looking forward to masala tea as well. So, what about your visit to India? I mean, what forward you're looking forward with the different tries? Which places you're going to visit, and what is your proposals there?
I'm going to Delhi. I'm going to parts of the rural areas in Andhra Pradesh. I'm going to Mumbai, and I'm going with the charity Save the Children. And we're going to look at some of the anti-poverty projects, some of the projects they do with some of the poorest children in India on education, on health, because even though we know that parts of the Indian economy are doing very well, we also know there's huge deprivation and poverty in India. And I think that wherever we see injustices like poverty, we have to do something about it. So I'm very interested to see how these projects work. I'm going to go and visit them. I'm going to look at them for myself, and I think I'm really looking forward to it. I think I'll learn a lot.
And your final message for the Indian community, to the Asian community, the South Asian, and of course the Leicester, United Kingdom, and the whole of India.
Well, I just want to say I think Britain is a stronger place, and indeed Leicester is a stronger place, because of the contribution of the South Asian communities, from the communities from India, from Pakistan, from Bangladesh, and indeed those generations of families who came via parts of East Africa as well. I'm immensely proud to represent a city of such diversity in Leicester, which is a stronger place today because of those contributions. And I'm confident that because of the families who have made Britain their home, that Britain can play a large part in the world because of our deep bonds and ties with India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much.